Have you ever been playing Euro Truck Simulator 2 and just thought, I wish these NPCs could be worse drivers? Or, damn, I'm just not getting into enough crashes? Well, look no further because I have the mod for you. With TruckersMP, you get to experience Euro Truck Simulator 2, or American Truck Simulator, in glorious multiplayer, with thousands of other numbskulls who don't understand how and when to correctly overtake you. Mechanically, the mod is almost exactly the same as the base game, just with some tweaks and quality of life changes to make the multiplayer element work, such as removing the normal NPC vehicles or the addition of non-collision zones to garages and other areas of town that would just be impossible to navigate if you had to avoid crashing into other players. For the purposes of this video, I have recorded all my gameplay on the ETS2 version of TruckersMP because it has around 100 times more players at any time, and playing with people is pretty much the whole point of a multiplayer mod. However, as far as I'm aware, the ATS and ETS2 versions of the mods are virtually identical, so whatever I say in regards to ETS2 TruckersMP should also apply to ATS. Before we get into this though, I just wanted to say that we just hit 250 subscribers, which is pretty pogmite. Thanks for all the support guys, and if you're new to the channel and enjoy the video, consider subbing. Now, my experience with TruckersMP actually predates my experience with the base game, as when I bought ETS2 way back in 2016, I must have seen some multiplayer mod videos or something because I pretty much immediately began playing the mod rather than the base game, and I played the mod exclusively for my first 30 or so hours of time with ETS2. Just like regular truck sim gameplay, the main loop revolves around making deliveries. The RPG and company management aspects also carry over, although with some weirdness and inconsistency. For example, you can still have AI truckers earning you money, but time doesn't pass the same way as in single player, and you can't sleep, so you won't get payments as regularly. You might even just end up getting them all at once when you log in. Another example is that if you sleep or fast travel, it doesn't actually advance the day-night cycle, since that is handled server-side and has to be consistent for everybody. But other than the minor additions to the game, like the additional settings and reporting menus and those small inconsistencies, things are pretty much the same as single player. You can even use your single player saves in multiplayer if you don't want to start from scratch. Although if you do that, I highly recommend making a duplicate of your save for multiplayer rather than using the same save and switching back and forth, just to ensure nothing happens that could ruin your save. I've linked the guide that I used to do this in the description. Now, TruckersMP doesn't just slap multiplayer on the base game and call it a day. It also provides the framework for people to organize and play together in the form of VTCs and events. Virtual trucking companies, or VTCs, are basically like clans or guilds in other games. On the TruckersMP website, you can create or browse existing VTCs to find a community of people to play with. These pages can be super detailed and give you lots of methods to connect with the VTC, linking to their Discord and other social channels. A lot of them are based on having people from certain countries or who speak certain languages, so if English isn't your first language, you shouldn't have too much trouble finding a community for you. Events are organized by players on the website as well, and almost always take the form of a convoy, where people will meet up at a certain place, at a certain time, and on a specific server, and all head out along a planned route together. These offer a nice change of pace to the regular solo gameplay, as you have to drive more carefully to make sure that you don't mess anyone else around you up, maintaining spacing and speed, for example. It's also just fun to drive as part of a group and have people accompany you throughout your journey. Complementing these features is the built-in voice chat, which is proximity-based and styled like a CB radio with the blips and radio sounds. This is useful for communicating with players around you, like for letting them know that they can overtake you or that you need to get into their lane, but mainly it's used for expressing colorful language after a dumbass decides to crash into oncoming traffic. I would show you the shit show that is public comms, but I don't speak fucking Klingon or whatever people in Europe speak, so I don't know if they're saying some incredibly racist shit or something. While I don't understand the language, the mannerisms of shitheads online seems to be fairly universal, so I'm gonna play it safe here. Now, this is kind of bad, but one of my favorite things to do in the game, and kind of a guilty pleasure, is to travel along the roads near Duisburg, which are almost always super busy, in a car and just look out for all the crashes. There's just something about watching someone take a turn too fast and completely eat shit, or someone blatantly driving like a jackass have a head-on collision, that just never gets old. I guess vehicular destruction just activates my neurons. One of the downsides or upsides, depending on where you live, is that it seems a vast majority of people who play this mod are European. So as people in North America start getting off work, around 5 PM EST, that's when the overall player base starts dropping off because it's later in the night in the EU. This made it pretty hard for me to get into a launch convoy when I was prepping for this video because most of them are scheduled in good times for Europeans. Additionally, the lack of NPCs makes the game world feel really empty at times. When other players aren't around, it will just be you alone, and it can get quite boring driving on completely empty roads. This problem is made worse by the aforementioned population drop-off during certain hours, as even typically more busy areas will become ghost towns later in the night. On top of this, for some reason, people tend to stay in one region of the map around the Low Countries and northern France and Germany, so if you're making deliveries in, say, Scandinavia, you might only see a player every 10 minutes or something, even during peak hours. You can see this through the online traffic tracker on the TruckersMP website. Look at how some of the areas in Germany have hundreds of players, while most of the areas only have like 1 to 3. On the plus side though, this means that people are all clustered in one spot, so the places that have action tend to have a lot and can get pleasantly chaotic. So if you enjoy admiring crashes like me, you can easily find good places to go. Now, I totally understand that this is just a quirk of the game, and I can only imagine the technical hell that would be adding in NPCs. I can imagine them desyncing all over the place and sending players' trucks flying. Still though, for me, the often empty map is why this can never really be a complete replacement for the base game, but something to enjoy alongside it. Now, SCS Software recently announced that they will be releasing their own supported multiplayer system, which is great, and it's in beta right now. I haven't had a chance to play it though, as I don't have any friends who like this game. However, I think there's still going to be a place for this mod when that's completed and released. While SCS's version might be more immersive in some areas, like the fact that AI drivers will be included and synced between players, it's still going to be limited to only 8 players, and I believe it's also hosted peer-to-peer rather than being on a dedicated server like TruckersMP, so it's a lot more restricted. It's more like a co-op mode, while TruckersMP is an MMO. If you have Euro Truck Simulator 2 or American Truck Simulator, I highly recommend checking out these mods, as they are a pretty cool new way to play the game. I've put the link to the TruckersMP website in the description, as well as a guide on how to install it. As always, be sure to properly back up your save files when installing mods so that nothing gets lost. I hope you guys enjoyed this little discussion video. My Euro Truck video has been the most popular video on my channel so far, and I got a decent number of comments mentioning TruckersMP, so I thought I would share my thoughts on it. I also know that some people actually bought ETS2 based on my recommendation, so hopefully you guys are watching this and I just gave you something else to try that you might like. Stay tuned for future videos, and I will see you guys soon enough.